Grinder S and buildup boost? How good could it be? Huh. Whoa. Well, pretty good apparently. Hello hunters, Drew back with another build showcase video, and something I've been meaning to take a look at for a while, but apparently working on a switch axe guide for 4 weeks kinda throws me off a little bit. But I did receive a comment from Fourth Wind Hero mentioning their recent experience with Grinder S, and since I'm spinning my wheels a little bit on my current video, I figured I might be able to do a quick showcase of the Grinder S build-up boost build. This was pretty easy for me to put together. I more or less repurposed my blast build, but of course the decorations and skills are pretty different. I do think really fondly of Grinder S. It is pretty special for me. For those who have been following my channel since last year, my Bushi Grinder S build video is really the video that got things started on my channel. And at this time, it's still the most watched video on my channel. So if you're not familiar with Grinder S, at level 3, this skill provides a 10% raw damage buff if you recover 2 or more levels of sharpness, and this lasts for 90 seconds. In Tile Update 2, we got Build-Up Boost, which at level 3 made status weapons except for exhaust deal 6.66% more damage overall, which kinda raised the floor for a lot of raw focus builds. With both of these skills in mind, the Lucent Kuga switch axe had a lot of potential, with only 30 hits to reach blue sharpness and poison status on it for build-up boost. But the main drawback for me was the level 1 rampage slot. No foul switch boost, no thank you. But in Tile Update 4, I can finally augment the Lucent Kuga switch axe to have a level 3 rampage slot. However, there are some drawbacks. The new augment slot forces 10 additional sharpness onto the weapon, so there are now 40 hits of sharpness to go through to get to blue. In addition, it takes 7 augment slots to get this rampage slot upgrade to level 3, so we are missing out on some raw for running foul switch boost, but I don't care. I love it. So if you're familiar with switch axe, you know that this weapon absolutely shreds sharpness, and I was pretty pleased to see that even with 40 hits, I was able to burn through it very quickly. I'm only running 1 point of protective polish here to give me the opportunity to burn through all 40 hits, but in this case, I was very easily able to get back to blue sharpness. As with a lot of my builds, I try to fit in Adrenaline Rush for the 30 additional raw for 30 seconds since I like to run wire step. With all 3 of these things stacked up, the raw damage on this build is pretty ridiculous considering I'm not even using Mail of Hellfire or Dereliction. It just involves a bit of downtime at the beginning, and a bit of a game to make sure you get through to blue sharpness in about 90 seconds so that you can resharpen and reapply Grinder S. Given that Grinder S is active, this type of build has potential to deal the highest possible raw damage. The main thing is that playing around Grinder S, especially with 40 hits on the Lucent Kuga, might not always go well compared to using a more conventional build. You do have to play around it a decent amount, and the build expects that you are consistently striking the monster to wear down the sharpness. The damage is quite good when it's good, and it adds a fun extra layer on top of your ordinary gameplay. An interesting side effect of Grinder S is that if you do run Grinder S, you tend to want to run less sharpness management skills. So it ends up being a little bit easier to fit in because you can just take out your sharpness management skills and put in Grinder S. Alright, so a little break from the hunt gameplay, I want to take a moment to step aside and talk about some theory with Grinder S. So when investing in sharpness management skills, the intent is to allow you to get the benefit of the highest level of sharpness all the time. So for example, with a weapon with purple sharpness, using skills like Protective Polish or Master's Touch, the intent is that these skills are making sure you always deal damage in purple sharpness rather than white sharpness. The rough damage difference between white and purple sharpness is about 5%, so you could estimate the value of sharpness management skills to be in the realm of a 5% damage boost, especially if you are locking it in with Protective Polish. But then, how does Grinder S look for status weapons? The 2 potential candidates, I think, are the Lucent Kuga and the Scorpion Magdamalo. When fully augmented, they each require 40 and 50 hits respectively to reach blue sharpness. However, for the first 20 and 30 hits respectively, the damage is already in purple sharpness, so there's no observable difference at this point to a conventional build. The point where you start dealing less damage is at 20 hits of white sharpness on each weapon before reaching blue sharpness. So it becomes reasonable to say that for these 20 hits, the Grinder S build is doing 5% less damage. However, once you do sharpen and receive the 10% damage boost, at this point, compared to an ordinary build, you are dealing 10% more raw damage when in purple sharpness, and 5% more damage when in white sharpness. So in theory, once you get the Grinder S buff going and are able to continually maintain it, then it should strictly do more damage than without. However, hunt length should matter a lot here, because 40 to 50 switch axe hits is not a trivial amount of damage. I do think that this gets better for longer hunts like anomaly targets. Basically, the longer the hunt, the more time to make up for the start where the build is doing less damage and bite sharpness. So for me, I think I'm actually going to start to run this full time in anomaly hunts and see how it goes. But so far so good, and the big numbers make me feel good when I see them. If you're interested in my build, I made a little graphic for it here, including my augments. Similar to the status builds on the channel, it does require build-up boost augments to get the most out of it. I do think there's a lot of preference here, so just adjust things around to your liking if you want to give it a try. My preference is a Lucent Rakakuga switch axe, but I think you can use a Skorg Magnamalo switch axe as well. It just has 10 extra hits of sharpness, so you might be able to drop Protective Polish completely. You can probably try to combo status trigger with this too, to get more damage from build-up boost. The poison on the Lucent Rakakuga switch axe is too low for me to consider Camille's Blessing at 4A. It's not quite like the Thanatos Serpent where you can keep poison up the entire time. This, similar to the Skorg Magnamalo, is less about the status, but more about the raw damage you get for applying status with build-up boost. There's a lot of variables when comparing these status builds, so I don't think I can easily make a call about which are strictly the strongest, but this definitely competes with the rest of them. As this hunt wraps up and we see some more funny numbers from this build, I want to take the opportunity to thank you all for your support on my Switch Axe guide video. I really had no idea how it might go, but worked pretty hard to make it as good as I could, and I'm really happy to see it bring in new viewers to the channel. But as always, thanks for watching this video. If you like this type of format, I did a similar thing for a sleep build, where I keep a seizing basil key slept for the whole hunt. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel, more content is on the way. Thanks for watching, hunters. Take care.